Welcome back, everybody. For this section, we're going to talk about mining in Arizona. And this here in the background, a lovely photo, is of the Marinchi copper mine near Silver City, been open since 1872. This is a big open pit copper mine. So there is a lot of mining that goes on in Arizona. You can actually see all the mine locations here on the left, tons of them. On the right, these are some of the major mines, some you might have heard of. Here is the Marinchi mine over here. You have Phoenix somewhere in the middle, and you can see a lot of copper, a lot of gold, and a few other fringe players, some cement, some uranium. Now, mostly what you've heard of maybe are going to be these different metal mines, copper, gold, but you can see here in the red, it's actually a very small percentage of mines as a whole. Most mines in Arizona are going to be dedicated to things like building stone or just aggregates, bulk sand, things that provide the raw materials needed for construction. So if you've seen a construction site, you might see this. This is what we're talking about with aggregates and crushed stone here, and this would be your building stone. And we can actually break building stone down even further. We might have decorative stone, so things you might put in xeriscaped yards, help to make it look pretty, but no load bearing, no real function to them. You might have these things called flagstones. So these are going to be slab shaped stones. You might pave a walkway with them, going to be plate shaped almost. And you might have this thing called dimension stone used to make these regular blocks for building buildings. So what about in Avondale and Glendale, close to Estrella Mountain? Well, we can see Estrella Mountain is right here. A little bit hard to read, but this is Dysart here. This is Indian School going left to right on the map. And if you've actually traveled on Indian School here, you've probably gone through this area here, the CEMEX. This is going to be a cement production facility that we have right here in Avondale. And a little bit up north, you go up north and then you go over on Glendale Avenue, you can see something called All Rock Supply, going to be construction material supply company. So this is local economy, local stuff we're talking about here. You might also see that if you sort of draw a line between these, you can see that the next number in the access code is 4. I'm not drawing a 4, but the next number in the code is definitely 4. Now, also on Glendale Avenue, there is something called the Morton Salt Facility, maybe the Morton Salt Production Facility. And what is the idea here? The idea is that there is a massive amount of salt that is needed for various other industries, right? Things like putting chlorine in pools. And how do you get the salt out of the ground? Well, here's the process. So there is this deep salt pillar, sort of salt teardrop underneath the ground here. And you drill this big hole down there and you start pumping water in. And as you pump more and more water in, it starts to dissolve the salt and make this sort of cavity. Let me get myself out of the way here. And the water starts to dissolve some of that salt and turn into a sort of salty brine, right? Salt water. And you can have these other sort of tubes take the brine and they pump it up back into these big pools, evaporation pools. Well, you let it sit in the Arizona sun for a while, it's going to evaporate, and what you're left with is a lot of salt. So what's happening here? Morton Salt, over in Glendale, will extract salt from the ground using solution mining. This process involves injecting water down into the salt body. The water dissolves the salt, and then you pump the salt water back through different tubes, let it evaporate, and you've got salt. It produces about 183 million pounds of salt per year. Salt is used for things like chlorine in swimming pool, water softeners, as well as an enhanced coolant as part of the Palo Verde nuclear generating plant. Now, what does this look like geologically? Okay, we have our cross section here. These are going to be the San Francisco Mountains up north. We have Phoenix down here to the south. And this right here, where it says halite QTH, right? This is going to be our salt. So here's Phoenix, and this is the big sort of salt teardrop, salt diapir, salt dome that is being used as part of this process. Alright, so what are the big ideas? Well, the first thing, for those of you who have made it this far, thank you. The final number in the access code is 1. Alright, last number is going to be 1. So our big ideas for this section, right? What does it mean to be a mineral? What's that definition? What are the key parts? What is a mineral and what is not a mineral? What are the different characteristics? How can you identify a mineral using things like luster, cleavage? What do those words even mean? We have our 3 types of rocks: igneous, sedimentary, metamorphic. How do those form? What is the story? What is the difference between them? How can you tell the differences between them? What does it mean to have this bigger rock cycle? And then finally, some questions about mineral mining in Arizona. Thank you.